Brothers of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Being broadcast live, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Like, subscribe. Y'all know what you need to do. And if you are listening on YouTube or TFR, make sure you stop in to one of the chat rooms and say howdy. And if you don't have time or cannot do that because you're driving and being safe, send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. And if you want to support the show, you can do so by going to etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio with MTN for Mountain. You can also go to patreon.com/TheSpacesBetween. Or if you want to just, support my radio habit, you can do that by dropping a cash tag, and that's $TheSpacesBetween. The call line is open, and that number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44-203-393-2871. And if you have a free moment, like on the breaks or something, go to ialife.com. ialife is the official sponsor of Truth Frequency Radio. And just good for what ails you. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. But hey, you know what? It's still good for you. And I am joined by Mr. Longbeard.
Who?
You.
Who?
You.
Who?
Knock,
Me?
knock.
No one's home.
Is your microphone on?
It should be. Is it? Do you have me live over there?
Yeah, you're live.
All right, fine.
You just got to talk louder. No, I think you're on. I don't know.
Is that better?
Oh, hey, there you are.
That's what you get for moving my stuff around.
Hey, I was cleaning. I needed to look under my desk. So I moved the whole desk. Well, it was, there's important stuff I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It was your stuff. But I still don't know where it is. Anyways, Sonia, she laughs. She says, "Oh, a free moment." Yes, it was a free moment. They happen sometimes. Yes, cleaning, parenting, never-ending battle. Oh, I hope y'all are just having a fantastic January. It's been off to an interesting start. I don't know what it's all like in your neck of the woods, but the weather here has been quite interesting. We've had how many seasons in 1 week?
All of them.
Pert near, yeah.
The only thing we haven't had is heat.
I don't know. It was warm enough to go without a jacket here the other day. And then it rained.
And
a
then
lot.
A lot. All night.
And the next
all
day.
Day.
Mm-hmm.
All forever.
All forever, yep. And now everything's freezing up again, but the water levels are all up. And so, depending on how the thaw goes this spring, it shall be quite interesting. It's purple opal.
I don't know who cut it, but they cut it at an odd angle. Did you notice that? Leave it to me.
Yeah, I just had to have it.
I'll turn it that way. So
there.
Don't
look closely.
Angle.
Yeah. So yeah, Deb Varner is super awesome.
Oh gosh.
Apparently she wants to keep the world a fluffy place. So I got some awesome fudge. Yes. Wow. Lewis has 95 degrees. That's a little too warm for me. I'm actually okay with snow. It's the rain, snow, insane. So,
shoot.
Bang.
Please.
All right, everything okay over there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Anyhow.
Let's see what else is new in the world. I actually don't know because I stopped watching the news.
I have no clue.
I just know it's January. I had an astrology reading this past
today
week.
The 15th. It is. It's Martin Luther King Day.
It is
something like that.
I thought that was Monday.
It's the 15th.
Well, Minnie Paisley doesn't have school next week, so it's next week.
And it's next week. Well, then it's celebrated next week.
All right. Yeah, be careful. Your computer wants to update. Let's see. There was a thing. So astrology reading.
There was a thing.
Yep.
Great.
I had an astrology reading on Monday. Basically, it told me everything about myself that I already knew, but apparently it was already in my stars. Some of it was quite bizarre. Some of it was really interesting. And it was very, very Libra, because there would be like and say I had a numerology reading on me a while back too. And it was interesting on both of those because they would say, hey, you like attention. And then the next moment or the next paragraph would be like, hey, you're an introvert. And it's like, those two things don't really go together. But yeah, so hi, Brent. Yeah, just interesting. Anyways, the individual that, his name is Michael, that did the astrology reading for me is...
Is what?
We're going to do a pre-recorded show because he's in a way different time zone, and so he's
only on the other side of the U.S.
I know, but some people like to go to sleep before midnight ish. So, anyways, we'll see how it goes, and it'll be an
What? It'll be what?
It'll be an introduction to astrology, basically, because astrology is something that does take a little bit of study. You have to understand star charts and math and geography, geometry, and some other math things that just... I'm old and my brain doesn't work that way anymore. So some math and then understanding all of that stuff. So it's
geography or like
geography, geometry, archaeology, astronomy, astrology, all of that stuff. It's all the...
Why would you need to know geology for...
Well, so in my astronomy or astrology report, I have 0 Earth in my moon sign, so that means I am more creative than anything else, and I'm drawn to earthy type peoples, and I often have problems managing day-to-day activities and money matters and stuff like that, and so I am drawn to other people who like to do those things instead. And it's kind of a yin and yang type thing, I guess. So, so yeah, I just thought it was interesting. It was I learned some things about myself, which is kind of the whole purpose.
Kind of the point.
Yeah. So, speaking of learning, something that came up during my astrology reading is we were talking about invoking and evoking, because there is a difference. And I got to thinking, those are two words that are often used interchangeably.
Which are absolutely opposites of each other.
Well, they're not opposite. They are related, but...
I didn't say they weren't related. You can be... they're opposites and still related.
But they're not interchangeable, basically,
No,
is where I'm
not.
going. It's like red and blue. Yes, they're both colors. If you want to interchange them, I suppose you can, but the results may vary. So I'm just thinking of laundry, but yes, results may vary. So we'll start off just like I tend to start off with definitions. So according to the Oxford Dictionary, evoke means to call forth or up, such as to bring to mind or recollection. This place evokes memories, or to cite especially with approval for support, or to recreate imaginatively. Invoke is slightly different. It means to cite or appeal to someone or something as an authority for an action or in support of an argument. To call on a deity or spirit in prayer as a witness or for inspiration. The example they have here is the antiquated defense of insanity is rarely invoked today. Anyways.
That's kind of funny.
I was like, really? That's your example? Sure. But yeah, invoke, similar to supplicate, beseech, beg, if that helps. Or request, call for. And so yeah, just interesting, yes. And you can invoke like elements, that kind of thing. So where is my article? There we go. I went to Grammarly because you know what? Why not? Grammarly says invoke and evoke are two words that are very easy to confuse, which they are. They sound similar when you say them. They come from the same root word, which can be traced to the Latin word for voice, or vox. And their meanings are only slightly different, but it's the slight difference that makes people uncertain about which to use and when. All I can think of is there. You know, 3 different spellings of there. When we are invoking or evoking something, it means we are calling for or upon it. But the way we're doing it and the effects we would like to achieve are slightly different. For example, if we would like to invoke the spirit of Mozart, for instance, then we would want to summon the famous composer's spirit into being, kind of like a seance. On the other hand, if you would like to evoke the spirit of Mozart, you would need to create or play the music that reminds people of Mozart and his style. So, to be a summary here is, invoke is active and direct, and it can have a material effect. Evoke is passive and indirect, and generally has an emotional or intellectual effect. Just real straightforward. So, evoke, emotional. And it's amazing how a single word like that, or 2 words like that, can be such a big deal when it comes to doing rituals or ceremonies and such. Because, and this is goes back to why several months back I talked about, what language do you do your ceremonies and rituals in? Well, you really need to understand the words that you're using in order to use them correctly. And this is one really good example where, even if you're familiar with the English language, are you really using the right word? And, generally speaking, yes, you can say, hey, I just want this to manifest, and you get the point across. But if you want something more tangible, you're invoking, or if you want something more emotional, you're evoking. So if you're trying to do shadow work and get rid of some of those negative energies, are you evoking or invoking? What are they doing? What are they causing? Or when it comes to, cleansing your house, are you invoking or evoking? If you're trying to do a spell jar or a protection charm, are you invoking or evoking? And the words you're using as you're saying your words with your ceremony and your ritual are really important. Because if you want a protective barrier, a spiritual protective barrier, you're going to evoke and invoke probably. But if you want a physical barrier only, you're going to invoke. So it's to keep out the ghosts or the Bigfoot throwing, rocks at you or whatever. So, again, that's why it's so important to understand the words that you're using. Let's see. And I got a couple of different articles here. So if you guys go to learnreligions.com, Patty Wigginton is just a fantastic author and very, very prolific. And she writes quite a few articles on paganism and such. And if you ever have a chance to read any of her books, you should, because they're good. So she talks about, and I'll put a link to this particular article in the show notes. She talks about how it comes up in the practice of the contemporary Wiccan or pagan practices when it comes to invoking a deity as opposed to evoking the deity. So to evoke a deity is to call upon and ask it to join you during a ritual or working. Sometimes this involves simply asking. For instance, you could say, "Hail, Aries, we ask you to join us in a circle tonight." And or making an offering, say, "Great Bridget, we offer you this bread as a gift of thanks," for examples, in hopes that the deity will turn up. Regardless, evoking is an external involvement with the deity or being. Invoking, on the other hand, is a form of voluntary possession, if you will. When you invoke a deity or being, you're not asking it to come hang out. You're inviting it into yourself, and that god or goddess will manifest through a human host. So the ritual of drawing down the moon, which is a really powerful one, is an excellent example of an invocation of deity. Typically, if you're new to spiritual practices, such as Wicca or other pagan paths, most people will advise you to hold off on invoking a deity until you've learned enough to have a good handle on what's happening. It may be a good idea to focus instead on evoking and communing with the gods before you go inviting them to take control of you, even if it is on a temporary basis. And this goes to, seances. Seances, Ouija boards, anything like that. We are inviting an energetic being to come share your literal living space and walk around in your skin suit. It's not for the newbie. I wouldn't do it. Actually, I just would avoid the Ouija board anyways. Just because, it's not good for you. Unless you know how to close out the portal. But if you want to get to know the deities you're working with or the spiritual energies you're working with, that's something you should be doing. Often invocations use magical properties of sound, sacred or magical words, maybe sacred names, to align and harmonize the consciousness with spiritual forces. Invocations are and should be carefully composed to attract a particular deity or spirit. The invocation must address their powers, their virtues, and attributes, and also offer the right praise. It also has to be, in other words, really specific. It's not just, hey, I pick a hodgepodge of words out of a dictionary and say, hey, this is what I want. And hey, is it going to happen? You need to be pretty specific. An invocation must be spoken aloud and not thought silently, as sound and breath both carry magical properties. All senses and faculties must be employed in the invocation. Boy, you're giggling.
Because the picture popped up on my memories for Facebook.
Oh, okay.
It's 1 year ago when I lost clean the roof off. It didn't fall off that year. Anyhow.
How often have you fallen off the roof?
Just that once.
It only takes one time, right?
Well, hopefully it's the only time, yes.
You may have to move the little bench.
Anyhow.
So the magical idea of a ritual must be translated into light for eyes, harmony for the ears, perfumes for the sense of smell, savors for the mouth, and shapes for the touch. And this could be translated into any one of several different ways. I mean, you could have a poppet for the shape, food offerings or beverage offerings for the flavors. Perfumes, that could be like an incense of some sort or essential oils. And harmony for the ears, they could be, music, singing bowls, bells, that kind of thing. Light for the eyes, that would be like a candle or fire or something like that. Let's see. The invocation must be spoken or vibrated with as much intensity as possible. The secret of every invocation, as well as every act of magic, is to invoke often and inflame oneself with prayer or ritual. So this is why when the drawing down the moon type of ritual happens, it's often within the priesthood itself, the high priest or priestess will be doing this type of a ritual, and in the priestesses or priests will be the ones, drawing in that energy and channeling it. It's not just, John Doe in the crowd isn't going to be picked to channel the energy. It's someone who's got some instructions, some teaching involved. That way they have the internal discipline to participate, but also have some of those protections in mind, and are possibly wearing the right stones or crystals for protection as well. Sometimes there's like cleansing bathing that you do beforehand to, sever yourself from the energy from before, and then cleansing afterwards to make sure you've got the right energy, with you instead of dragging other stuff along. So you just got to be careful. And it's not for, again, beginners to just start channeling those energies. In magic, an invocation is done during the casting of a magic circle to ask specific entities to be present to protect and witness a ritual. Entities can also be invoked to temporarily possess a person, such as in mediumship, channeling, and other trance rituals. Magical grimoires contain numerous invocations as well as instructions for rituals. Among the most common purposes are procuring love, becoming pregnant, finding treasure, or acquiring wealth, protection against enemies, misfortune, and evil magic, and also healing. An invocation can be offered privately, in which a deity or spirit is invited, praised, and beseeched for favors. Or it can be done in a group setting. It's cool, it's interesting, yeah. But you just, again, got to be really, really careful. For me, it really is a lot like, playing with the Ouija board. And Lewis says, yeah, mispronouncing will summon, not quite what you're saying there, Lewis, but basically, yeah. It's, I don't know if I mentioned the cartoon before, but I saw a cartoon in Witchy magazine. This is, you're practicing your Latin and you accidentally summon a demon. It's just, you got to be careful what you're saying.
It's the Quillpoth or husks. Or husk, the word or husks. It's Jewish mysticism.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. And so, see right there? Not sure what it said, so I didn't even want to try to pronounce it. Don knew what it was. But then...
Yeah, Brent accuses me of having some kind of knowledge. I mentioned it the other night on the portal.
Well... You are Aether Archives. It would make sense that there is some sort of random knowledge floating around the back of your brain.
Obscure.
Obscure.
He says, where did you get all this obscure knowledge? I'm like, I'm a font of useless knowledge.
The obscure law. Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. What are your thoughts on invoking and evoking there, Mr. Don?
I think you need to do it with care and caution and not be dumb. I agree with you for the most part, But It just depends on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. Or accomplish.
Yes.
Or maybe A-port or D-port.
Diagonally?
Diagonally! Oops.
Excellent example there. One place has cotton candy, the other one is dark and dismal and scary. But yeah, it makes me wonder how much witchcraft and occult knowledge she had before she wrote the Harry Potter series.
Yeah, it really kind of does.
Because some of it she's really close, and other stuff, it's like, wow, you're kind of just making that one up by the seat of your pants, aren't you? Although I do think playing a game of Quidditch would be quite fun and interesting.
That would be interesting.
And having real dragons around would be quite interesting, as common as they are in Harry Potter. So, sorry.
Did you make a cat bed over there? Is that what that is?
Not intentionally, no. It's just some stuff that needs to be put away.
I kind of like the way you did that, too, by the way.
What's that?
That. The light behind the chair, though, won't work if we use it for camera. There's too much light behind the chair.
Yeah.
Looks nice. Anyhow, I'm sorry. Keep going. Invoking, evoking.
Invoking, yeah. I was evoking my inner neat freak and started cleaning stuff. Well, I was looking for something and had to look under my desk, so I picked up my desk and moved it. And found all sorts of different stuff. Anyways, so we are about to go to our first break already. Night's flying by. And we'll pick up Invoke and Evoke when we come back from break. And now's a good time to check out that iLife.com. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. So, before break, somebody in the chat room mentioned that they were looking for a witch or someone to do a detection to see if there's any curses on himself or his loved ones. And basic protection rituals are a real thing. So Nightshade and Justin both say that there's some stuff to do yourself first before you go that far, because often what we look for we find. And I'm not saying that you are obviously looking for you know some sort of negative entity or a curse or something lurking around your family. It's just often if you're looking for bad news, you're going to find bad news. Now, if you are concerned that there is a curse or something lurking around, yeah, do a cleansing. Sage is really good. Set your intention, wash your hand, break the bond. You don't have to just sit and take it if there is something lurking. You don't have to have a big ritual or anything like that. Just set your intention and take a shower and scrub away all of the negative crap in your world that's hanging on. It's amazing what a good scrub will do. It invigorates your skin. It makes you feel good. You get clean, and if you make sure you set your intention before you start scrubbing, you get your energy is clean too. So, Lewis says he gets emotionally charged when people wear masks inside the house. You know what? Masks in general are starting to cause all sorts of people to have charged opinions and such, and that just is kind of the way of it. So, anyways. Did you go get a coffee?
No, I went and got a cocoa with homemade barreled cream.
You know, those drunken cherries are pretty fab, too.
That's pretty good stuff.
I like the cherries. Well, hello, Miss Kimber. And Julia says that she feels like her family's cursed because the men tend to pass away before they turn 45. Some of that, unfortunately, is not a curse. It is genetics. I'm sorry. Because sometimes our genetics do tend to, if you've got health issues, they crop up. I'm not saying that poor choices or a curse necessarily, but what are they doing?
Did you tell Deb thanks for the fudge?
I have said thanks for the fudge, but I think Deb's finally listening. Thanks for the fudge, Deb. I've said thank you a couple times now, but it's awesome fudge. We've had to stash some to make sure we get some and make it last as long as possible.
It's almost gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good fudge.
It is.
That's just all there is to it.
You need to fix your camera.
Why is it?
You need it to go to the...
over this way?
Yes. And I'm not going to be able to see it.
Yeah. Okay. Good enough. Yeah, I got to figure out what I did with my outlet because my lights aren't on either. Let's see. Chris. Chris said, what did Chris say? Yeah, Chris Jarvis said, hey, sorry to hear about the pup. So, Mr. Basil, the bagel boxer that we have that joined us on air a couple times, crossed the Rainbow Bridge yesterday, and he is off joining Diego, and according to Mini-Me, they're off chasing the unicorns and having a good time. And honestly, that's probably true, because that's what they would probably do. Unless there's deer.
Evoke and invoke.
Yeah. So, well, I'm just trying to catch up, and the stuff is all in the chat room.
Hi, what do you want?
She wants to be on air. She's a Hollywood dog.
Come here. Come here. Get up here. Come on. Get up here. Yes. Okay. No hugs. No hugs. Okay. Yes. Hugs. Okay. You can have hugs this way.
Yep. And there's
Are you happy?
Miss Kimber.
Okay. Get down now. Get down. Thank you. Go on. Get down. Thank you. Anyhow.
And before too long, one of the cats will be up here too. So.
The other one was just there.
Yep.
So
all
anyhow,
right. Invoke and evoke. So
that's what I get for invoking a dog into my space.
all you have to do is exist, and she wants to lick you. Anyways. Let's see. So when it comes to invocation, remember, ritual invocation is to a deity, is to bring them into your life. It may be petitioning a spirit for success, prosperity, or protection. Offering sacrifices of gratitude to a deity. Or communicating with your spirit guides and your ancestors. Typically, invocation incorporates a recited passage that calls the spirit to the magician or witch. Prayer, hymn, incantation, poem, self-written invocation, that kind of thing. Poetry is often very personal and can be a beautiful method of inviting spirits into your life. So the invocation creates a working relationship between the practitioner and the spirit that is often marked by reciprocal benefits. The spirit is invited and welcomed into the life, home, and heart of the practitioner. Evocation, however, is dissimilar in that the practitioner is conjuring a spirit or entity for a specific task, information, or some practical application aimed at manifestation in the physical world. After the ritual, the practitioner dismisses or banishes the spirit to leave the room or space of evocation and complete the task. The practitioner is not offering supplication or service to the entity, and the goal is for the entity to grant the request of the practitioner. After a successful operation, are you okay? Oh, no, that is not a toy. That is Dawn's drinking horn.
Oh.
Sorry, just one moment. I'm going to hang myself if I bend over too far.
What are you doing? Stay out of my horn. That's mine. Goodness.
She just pulled it and decided to walk away. Well, it's got the leather on it. It's the horn. Everything that a little puppy loves to chew on. Not that she's a little puppy.
Here, she can have this one.
No, she doesn't need to chew on that one. It'll make her sick.
Like she hasn't been sick for the last 3 days. Sure.
Well, yeah. Yeah, poor dog. That's not the way that works. So after a successful ritual, the practitioner may choose to supply an offering to the spirit, as this is always a good courtesy. Crucial to evocation is the barrier created by the practitioner. This can be an astral barrier, such as the one produced or used in a like a pentagram or a circle, or calling on the 4 directions. The circle gains power when it is drawn on the ground in the physical realm as well as in the astral realm. Ceremonial magicians are known for their elaborate circular constructions, but a simple circle cast on the ground with an iron nail, wand, finger, dagger, or crystal point can be just as effective. Basically, you're just drawing a circle on the ground, in the dirt.
How hard is that?
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know. Making the 2 ends meet is kind of a trick.
That's why you have one person stand in the middle and the other with a string.
Like a fly.
Like a compass. After the ritual has been conducted, an evocation includes a dismissal to the spirit to fulfill their charge and a clearing of the astral space. Um, so there's an example here. Um, the Gedia, or Lesser Key of Solomon, is an excellent example of such evocation. It consists of explicit instructions for conjuring the 72 demons of Solomon in order to aid the operant in finding lost treasure, raising storms, and aiding in legal matters. Each spirit has a fixed set of skills in which they perform when successfully evoked. These spirits can be a very effective way to manifest change in the material world, but unlike deities, familiars, and spirit guides, they are not sentient nor instinctual in their abilities. The practitioner must be very clear and firm when stating their requests. In contrast to invocation, evocation, especially of the Getic variety, should always be performed sober with a centered mind.
Sober with a centered mind.
Mm-hmm. With this form of evocation, one is encountering spirits of a wild card nature. So, the author of this article says, I don't recommend utilizing Getic entities as spirit guides. Yeah, no. I don't know that I would want a wild card spirit guide.
No.
That just sounds like a recipe for bad things. Yeah. Evocation can also be used when contacting familiars or ancestors for the first time. It's good to know and trust your spirit guides. You should test them to learn their true nature before allowing them into your life. Over time, spirits may become familiars or spirit guides, but this is after a mutual relationship has been established.
You moved it again. There we go.
Okay. At first glance, invocation and evocation may seem like interchangeable terms, but they are in fact quite different. Both involve communicating with spirits, but the preparation and execution of the operation diverges. Man, this person likes to use big words. By understanding magical terminology, both witches and magicians gain insight into the tradition of magical practice and strengthen their own personal power. So, yeah, you just got to be careful. So let's see here. When just checking my time. After the break, I'm going to talk about invoking the elements. Did you know that some people feel that there's more than 5 elements? Sorry, Lucky says, shop for spirit guides like you would for car salesmen, lawyers, and babysitters. Gods and spirit guides can be peckish. Yeah.
Just a bit.
Yeah. They can. Oh, okay. So, generally, when we talk about the elements, it's like earth, air, fire, water, and spirit to me is the 5th. But in some of the, I don't know if it's necessarily neo-pagan, but in some of the, or Wiccan or neo-witch type stuff, they also consider the void as an element. So matter and antimatter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Are those 2 different things, or are they all just under one heading?
Well, no, is the void considered, do you think they would be considered?
Are you talking about matter and antimatter?
No, it's just like similar to matter and antimatter.
Oh, okay.
You know, like air, fire, water, earth, spirit, totally get, and void. So is void the opposite of spirit? Well, yes, I know. Yes. So that's Boda. Hi, Boda. So Deb says spirit guides can be real stinkers to work with. Deb would know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's got some experience dealing with spirit guides. Deb could offer classes on spirit guides.
Probably, but I don't know. I mean, another realm of element. I don't know, void. I don't know how that would be an element. Void is nothing. It's void. So how can it be anything?
I don't know.
I don't either. So there you have it. Anyhow.
Oh, in Asia there's void and sometimes wood. Yes, wood is a different So, and that's true there too. Different traditions will sometimes have different things that they consider to be elemental or part of their specific traditions. So, the Asian beliefs, like Chinese, for instance, yeah, that's very, very different than, say, Nordic. I mean,
think.
well, is there some similarities? Yes, there are some similarities across all the traditions, but they're they're not all going to match up completely because that's just not the way it works. So, Lucky says love is an element. Force, as in force of will, is an element. It is an element that is necessary, but without that, nothing would happen and you'd just be chanting, wasting noise and breath. Well, some people do that anyways, but yes. And that's part of the reason why I talk about setting in intention before doing your rituals or your ceremonies. Yeah, you focus your intention. It's in a way, the focus is a element as well, because you have to focus your energies towards it, whatever they are. Yep. Captain Planet. When your 5-year-old says they're not doing anything suspicious, that generally indicates they are doing something suspicious.
It implies suspicion.
Yes. Yeah. It's just a hunch. Mini-Me does the same kind of thing. She'll be loud and loud and loud, noisy, 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 and suddenly she'll be quiet, and it's like, all right, so what are you into now? And she says, oh, nothing. I'm just playing quietly in stuff that she shouldn't be playing with. I had a thought, and I just totally lost it. Arg. I hate that. Oh, it's been a long week. That's part of my problem. Yep, total squirrel moment. My brain's gone. I look at you like you should fill in something here.
Yeah, fill in something. Okay.
That's a fail.
Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to fill in for you. You're the host. I'm just sitting here.
Yeah. So, I've talked about invoking mostly tonight, and I'm going to talk about it after the break too, just because it's more tangible, I guess. And it's, I don't know, just easier to talk about. I mean, blah, yeah. When it comes to evoking, and sometimes it's hard to find. So there's, trying to think. So, for instance, in Homer's Odyssey, there is some evocation rites that involve consulting ghosts for prophecy. And to secure the temporary release of the ghost from the underworld, the evocators made offerings to the appropriate gods. And evocation rites always take place at night around a pit and a fire, especially in the stories. First, the evocator makes offerings to the underworld deities of libations of honey, milk, wine, water, maybe olive oil, sprinkled on top of food of some sort, often as barley. And then it's followed by the sacrifice of a black cow or sheep, and the color black is generally considered appropriate for the underworld. The throat of the animal slit and the blood drained, blah, 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 and the carcass is then burnt, which is a total waste of a side of beef. And then the evocator would petition the gods with magical prayers and incantations for the temporary release of the ghost or ghosts. When the ghosts arrived, they would then drink the blood of the sacrificed animals, which would give them a temporary restoration to corporeal form and the ability to communicate with the living. And the evocators would control the ghosts with swords made of bronze or iron. And some of this I can't help but think is where maybe some of the mythology with vampires came from. You're giving an offering of blood. The ghosts come, they drink the blood, so they can do the thing that you want them to do. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of the things that we consider mythology today are supernatural and not necessarily real to be. At one point, they were real. That's kind of why there's stories about it. And there's stories about vampires in pretty much every culture around the world. But in the Odyssey, the goddess Circe sends Odysseus to the house of Hades and the dread Persephone to consult the ghost of Tiresias, the blind Theban prophet. She gave him the ritual instructions that Odysseus follows, and the right summon a horde of wailing ghosts who crowd around the blood pit seeking to drink, and Odysseus is gripped by a fear of them. And he draws a sword to keep them away, not in letting them drink the blood until he's spoken to the right one. So basically, it goes on and talks about more about Odysseus specifically. But there's a sacrificial victim to call up the ghosts. Now, and this is to evoke the ghost to come forth and do the thing. So it often the ritual involved is more extravagant and has a greater price, a tangible price, such as the blood or the animal for in the sacrifice. It's, for me, I think that it's wasteful. Yeah, absolutely. Like Lucky says in the chat room. And I think it's partly why, the priesthood often was quite wealthy. It's because they could go and buy all these critters so they could do this stuff because people would donate things and, yeah.
Well, the ancient Egyptians used to breed cats to mummify specifically for that purpose. So why wouldn't people breed animals for specific sacrifice?
Yeah. Especially if you're looking for a specific colored critter for different
rites.
Yeah, different rites or for different days. Like this one, they're talking about a black animal, black sheep or goat or cow or and different animals supposedly had different energies. But also, these are the same people who would, play with the entrails and for divination, which I have never really understood at all. I guess I've butchered too many chickens to really understand why you would want to do that. What are you doing?
I'm looking for the reason why I'm seeing shadows in the... Oh, hi. Hi, how are you? I guess I just found the reason.
Oh, is it the fluffy black cat?
Yes, it is.
She is a shadow.
That's...
Evocation can also be accomplished during dreams. So the dead can often come to the living during sleep. And if you're looking for a specific ghost or spiritual entity to answer a question, often you have to do the right ritual prior to going to sleep, and also setting your intent prior to going to sleep. Again, this is one of those things you got to be a little more careful with because you're inviting that energetic being to interact with you in your sleep. And if you don't have the right self-defenses, the internal defenses to protect yourself from that entity.
Well, and you're also, when you're asleep, you've got your conscious mind's walls down, so you're more susceptible.
Yeah, so be careful. Evocation is also performed to appease, exorcise, or lay a troublesome ghost to rest, Usually, the identity of the restless dead was known, for the living were well aware of the dead person's grievances and unfinished business. If the identity was not known, the evocators simply employed various methods to find the responsible corpse. There's a whole process here. So, invoke, bring in, evoke, bring forth. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to stop there because I got more I can go into. We're going to do that after the break. Singing bowl. And yeah, I think that's about it. Yes. So we're going to stop there because my brain is just kind of not working apparently. I'm not going to lose this page because I don't want to lose that information. And then, yeah. So,
okay, cool.
I'm sorry. We'll be right back.
Lord, within the sea.
Hello, my lovelies. I keep bumping that thing. How's it going? This is Paisley Wild, and we are adventuring off into the spaces between because we can. It's an adventure. And Justin apparently has a full set of singing bowls. slightly jealous, I must admit. So this is the root chakra bowl. It's a C. I kind of want a crystal bowl set, but I don't know where I'd put them because they would have to be in a safe place, and the cat would probably end up sleeping in them because cats are weird. Yeah, cats are weird. Hey, Kai. Let's see. So, we were talking about evocation. And so there's for ghosts laying to rest, because that is probably what I would say ghost hunters should be doing, rather than, hey, so if you're really here, can you ding this bell? I gotta tell you, that drives me nuts.
Like they, you know, are here.
They're not performing monkeys. They're it's just not what they do. You're funny, Lucky. Lucky says, no, cats are not weird for that. They're smart. And we are only jealous because we can't fit inside those bowls. I don't know. I know someone that has a crystal bowl that is big enough that Mini-Me could take a bath in it. It is huge. And it's got like 4 big pillar candles in the middle of it. So, anyways, evocation. So, when people once upon a time were trying to figure out whom the deceased was that was haunting a place, they would bring a black sheep to the graveyard and lead it around by the horns or front feet. And if the sheep came to the grave of a restless ghost, it would fall down.
Okay.
The evocator would then sacrifice the sheep and burn its carcass whole and perform a ritual uttering incantations. And while marking off the grave, they would walk around and listen to the ghost speak and vent its anger, and appropriate measures were then taken to appease the ghost. For example, if a body was not buried properly, the remains would be dug up and reburied with the proper observances. Which is interesting. Numerous accounts of evocation for exorcism do exist in classical literature. Let's see. There's Plutarch tells the story of Pausania, the regent of Sparta, who conquered the Persians in 480 and 479 BCE. And as part of his gloating over the victory, Pausania, who was an Hellespont with the Spartan navy, summoned Cleonice, the virgin daughter of a prominent Byzantium citizens, intending to rape her and cause her disgrace. When she came to his bedroom, the room was dark and he was asleep, so she accidentally turned over the lampstand. Suddenly awake, he reacted as if an enemy had come into his room, so he drew his dagger and stabbed her to death. Thereafter, her ghost came to him in dreams and disturbed his sleep, and so he had no peace. And so he fled, of course, and she chased him. And so he saw an oracle of the dead, and the oracle told him basically everything would be fine if he returned to Sparta. But that's where he died. So the Spartans killed him by starving him to death. So yeah, it's apparently yeah. The a lot of those documents are not happy stories, by the way. So if you're going to go read them, yeah. Nero was the Roman Emperor Nero was apparently haunted by the ghost of his murdered mother, Agrippina.
Nero was insane to begin with.
Yep.
That guy was a nutcase.
Yep. So, anyways, she was trying to get him killed because she was worried about him, and Claudius was accidentally poisoned instead, and so Nero took the throne, and yeah, you know how that went. So yeah, and then supposedly he had her ghost laid to rest, but he refused to go through the Eleusinian mysteries rites because it required a journey to the underworld, and he feared he was stir up the anger of her ghost and wake up the Furies. So a lot of the Romans and the Greeks and such, they were seriously connected to their beliefs and their pantheon, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Those who were devout were very, very devout, and those who weren't, well, they really, really weren't. So yeah, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of halfway in between. Cats and dogs mass hysteria. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's not staying in there.
Because you keep yanking on it.
I'm not trying to yank on it. All right, so talking about summoning the elements.
Just leave the cat alone.
Yeah, something like that, Deb. Deb says too much inbreeding. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Just a skosh.
They were all... That's what happens when you hit the guitar with your tail.
All right, so when witches cast a circle or create a sacred space and ward it, and they call the corners, it means that witches are invoking the protective energies in order to hold the space stable and to ward off unwanted entities that might be attracted to the energetic space that's being created. And it's traditionally called or described as calling the quarters, because the quarters refer to the 4 cardinal directions, and each direction represents one of the initial 4 elements to be invoked. They serve as protection and foundation. Think of them as 4 pillars. Let's see. There are 4 pillars: to know, to will, to dare, to keep silent. That's something else, apparently. So, visualization. So, within a lot of ritual work, there's visualization. And you have to be able to visualize what you're trying to achieve. That's part of the reason why we're meditating and journaling, is so we can get more in tune with it. It's part of the reason why witches and pagans often have stuff around, and sometimes the altar can get a little crowded because there's stuff that we're trying to help us visualize what we're trying to accomplish. Like crystals, your athame, your chalice, mortar, pestle, salt, water, that kind of stuff. Moon water that Dawn's not drinking. And if you're not able to keep it all in your altar, which is absolutely fine, make sure you get a cabinet or a box or some place to put it away so it's protected and taken care of. Let's see. So, in order to work with the elements, we tend to visualize them. You can use them or visualize them as guardian beings or archangels, or...
Is that beings or beans?
Beings, or different animals representing the different corners. Let's see. Mostly, and this is one of the things that I love about paganism, is you kind of figure out what works best for you, and that's what you're going to use. You do want them facing in the appropriate direction. If you do use a figure, you can name them or as you honor them, and you welcome them when they arrive. So kind of like Guardians of the Watchtowers of the East, for instance. Ye lords of the element, I summon you and call you up. Hail and welcome, etc., etc. Way abbreviated. So, and then when you close the circle, you recite banishing incantation, basically to release the energy and thank it and bid it farewell. Let's see. Most witches know about the 4 elements of air, fire, water, and earth, and many know about the 5th. And so, let's see. Starting with the first, generally, again, with the cardinal energies, a lot of this is intuitive and based upon your own specific tradition, because it does vary also along with your geographical location. The element of air is often portrayed in the east. The colors associated, generally yellow or white. And when you're invoking it, basically you're saying, guardians of the watchtowers of the east, ye lords of air. I do summon ye, stir, and call you up to witness this rite and guard the circle. Hail and welcome. So yeah, just real basic. And when it comes to rituals and calling the corners, it doesn't have to be anything real fancy or poetic or descriptive, if you will. Just keep it simple. So air is often represented by a feather, and as you're doing your visualization, you can think of, a light breeze in the trees or wind, communication, in that type of thing. When it comes to fire, fire is quite warm. So when you're visualizing things, you light, a yellow light with fire, and it's getting you warm, and it's, the energies there associated with fire. With water is generally pretty cool. Maybe you're going to visualize rivers or creeks or whatever. Lucky says, please don't speak King James English in ritual circles unless you're in a thespian play. Well, it depends. Again, some people like to speak in a more formal tone or formal-ish tone, because it puts your mind in and your consciousness in that ritual type of setting. So not just physically, but your mental space too. But anyways, the visualization as you're invoking the different elements. With earth, often when I'm visualizing earth, I really am thinking about gardening. The smell of the dirt when it's fresh and turned and working it, or the smell of dirt when it rains and gets a little damp, and all of that stuff. And then spirit is often, you might consider it the universe or spirits, your ancestors. So if I'm trying to invoke spirits or spirit with a circle or whatever, yeah, I'm generally thinking ancestors or that ancestral deity or ancestral person of some sort, or a specific deity that I might want to work with. With this particular article, it talks about the void. I've got mixed feelings about the void, so I'm not going to go into it. So there. Mostly, when it comes to all of this, you, again, journal what you're doing, and don't be afraid to look up definitions of the words you're trying to use to make sure that you have the correct ones. And sometimes you need to hit the synonym to make sure you're using the right word.
The synonym?
Synonym. Because, yeah, are you looking for the color blue, or you want aqua, or cobalt, or periwinkle? Periwinkle's purple. But, and so just to make sure you have the right words. And this is also good why you write down your ritual before you go into it, and you go over it. When I've done rituals, I will often put whatever it is I'm going to do on a recipe card, because that's what I have, or I call them recipe cards because that's what I write on them. What are they called? Index card. Because I have lots of them, and that way that I don't lose track of what I'm trying to accomplish. Often I will write down the different elements of the different things I want to use for a ritual. I'll even draw a little bitty diagram on the back of the index card to make sure I'm setting things up exactly the way I want to. That way I'm checking my boxes, double checking my work, and getting everything where I need it to be before I do whatever it is I'm going to do. Some rituals do require you to cleanse yourself prior, so make sure you're doing that. That purification process could be fasting, if that's your shtick. I like food. Fasting's not really my thing, but some people find a lot of strength and power in it. But and that's part of the reason why so many pagans and rituals, or pagans and witches use, formal robes and such, is partly to put themselves in that headspace of, yep, I'm in a ritual and I'm doing the thing. So that's, you're doing the cleansing, the purifying before you do the thing. So what?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at something Lucky said about King James used his version of English.
Mm-hmm.
He commissioned all the Shakespeare and all that.
Mm-hmm.
All that was written and edited by Sir Francis Bacon. All of it. Every damn bit of it. Sorry.
Okay. But yeah, be clear, be specific. Don't use your word of the day calendar when you're trying to write a ritual.
No, that's not a good idea. And don't use contractions either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in a lot of fiction, they say the deities or the spirits don't understand contractions. Now, and so they don't respond well to contractions because they just don't make sense. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. However, often contractions don't make sense. I mean, try to speak our language.
Yeah, well, see, the problem is that, saying can't and don't,
it's a negative.
It's not, I won't say proper English, but it's not healthy English.
Won't is not as powerful as will not.
Right.
Or shall not. It's, I don't know. I think, yeah, by not using the contractions, it makes it stronger. Yeah, cannot is different than can't.
Yeah, and Lucky says the word can't means truly something different than the word can't. So one, can't is a chant, or it could be even considered part of a ritual. You can't.
C-A-N-T, no apostrophe.
No apostrophe. And can't is cannot. So they can't tell the difference. Mm-hmm. Because it's not something that they would be familiar with necessarily. But then again,
There.
Yeah.
So yeah, just be aware of the word you're using, and read it through. If it makes sense to you, that's good. Set it down, walk away, get a drink of water, come back, and then read it again. And does it still make sense? Scottish rhyme and write, speak, or cannot. I don't get it, Lucky. Scots speak totally different anyways.
Well, it has to do with what she said right above that, is shan't is shall not.
Mm-hmm.
Shan't is Yeah. Well, yes, Justin. Thanks for that. Yeah, Scots do canting, and shant is part of a lexicon. It's more of a kind of an ebonics thing, a kind of a regional dialect. It's not necessarily something everybody would understand. Also, um, uh, Cockney.
Mm-hmm.
Cockney is rhyming.
Mm-hmm.
They don't ever say what they mean. They say something that sounds good, and it's Cockney rhyming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a crazy dialect language.
All on its own.
All on its own. Yeah, you really have to pay attention when they're talking. You end up just not having a good day. So, yeah, canting is the way it's spoke, or the words that are used in the way it's spoke.
Mm-hmm. So
She was writing Cockney as I said it.
So the example that comes to mind is if you've seen Harry Potter, and it's the very first one when Hermione says it's Leviosa, not Leviosa, or whatever.
Levioso, not Leviosa.
Whatever. You have to make sure you're pronouncing the words correctly. That's why invoke and evoke are kind of the topic tonight.
Enunciate.
Because enunciate. So where does what lead us? It leads us to make sure we're speaking good English, not necessarily the Queen's English, but just good English, and understand the words you're using. Don't use make-up words. Don't use a foreign language unless you know the ins and outs of the foreign language, and make sure you're
Put thought into it.
Yeah, put some thought into it. If you're not using the right words, you're not going to get the right results. And if you're going to go through the effort of doing a ritual or ceremony of some sort because you want a result, why don't you do it right the first time? That way you don't have the blowback from the Ouija board. Because, we don't want that. So make sure you're using the right words. I don't know how else to put that other than that. Write it down. Make sure you're doing the invocation correctly or the evocation correctly. And whatever preparatory work you need to do prior to doing the ritual, just do it. And often it doesn't take that much extra time to make sure you've got the right words in the right order to do the right thing. Now, does your ritual have to rhyme? No, it doesn't have to rhyme. Part of the reason why they do often rhyme, or they're written in some sort of prose, is so it's a little easier to remember. So you don't have to have the note cards, and it's just easier to memorize that kind of thing when it's got that rhythm to it, the flow to it.
A cant.
It's got a cant to it, yeah. And it's just one of those tools that often get used. I don't know. Any other thoughts there, Mr. Don?
Not really.
You're supposed to say yes.
Yes, I have lots of thoughts. I just...
You're not helping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lucky says, don't tie yourself up too much on this. Have fun, play with the power, and be a good witch when doing rites. Yeah, and that's true too. Don't get so hung up in the minutiae, the little bits, that you don't get anything accomplished, you don't move forward, and you don't do the ritual. It's not as complicated as it sounds, and it's just do what you got to do. I don't know. I don't know. I keep saying I don't know. Take a deep cleansing breath. Set your intention. Do what you want to do or need to do. So there.
There you
Because
go.
I said so.
There you go.
Do it. Do it.
So what are you going to talk about for the last half hour?
I'm not sure yet. I'm looking up an article. Today's stuff, yeah. Trying to stay on it, even though the urge to squirrel out is quite huge. So, yes. And you can't yawn. I will throw your drinking horn at you. Because it's a really big stick. Although the dog will chase it. Yeah, no, we'll come up with something. Hey, Kimber. Yeah. So we're going to go to break. What are you doing? Oh, hi. Yes, I see you. Yes, Goofy Dog. Here. Oh, say hi for the camera. Yes, once you've had 2 dogs and you suddenly have one, the one dog that's still there.
Gets really needy.
Yes, and she cuddles like a cement bag. She just kind of lays on you and you can't move. So, yes. Now she'd just get along with the cat. We'll see you guys right after the break.
Mother
Sisters of the shining moon, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. So just before break, Justin asked a question. He wants to know, do you worry about subconscious intentions in these times of negative energies? So, yes and no. So start with the yes. Yes, because often our subconscious will take control of what we're consciously trying to do and accomplish. And it's not because we're not strong enough consciously to do the ritual or do the thing or ask the right question. It's just because when we're stressed and worried about things, that that stands out. It happens. It's a valid thing. That's part of the reason why I generally recommend to do the meditation and set your intention prior to doing the ritual or the ceremony. And that's why last week I talked about don't be in the keyboard warrior, the knee-jerk response when you see something online or what people are doing. Put some thought into it. Type out a response. If you see someone just, going off the deep end, and so you reply in an equally deep response or deep end response, before you hit send, stop, take a deep cleansing breath, reread it. Is it something that you want said to you? If not, don't post it. Pretty straightforward. So yeah, I do worry that people will unintentionally do things. Now, no, because I think even in times of fear, our greatest truths will win out, whatever those are. And so if our greatest fear is to have, something go sideways, like you get pulled over for a speeding ticket when you're in a hurry. If that's your fear and you put the energy into it, you're going to manifest it, yes. But if you acknowledge that's your fear, you take away the power of it. And so sometimes those subconscious intentions, you stop and do the meditations, like, all right, subconsciously, what am I feeling? You acknowledge it, and it's like, okay, so that's a part of me, and that's a part of what I'm feeling right now. And you don't have to wallow in it, but sometimes acknowledging that it exists takes away its power to influence you. Actually, excellent segue to a thought that I was kind of pondering as I was reading and doing research and such. There's a fair bit of outcry about how some of the extremist groups have co-opted different symbology within the different pagan practices or the different traditions. And often extremists, regardless of their faith, if you will adopt things that
hold more power than they do.
Yeah. Which is why Hitler took over the swastika. Yeah, swastika. That symbol has been used for millennia, long before Hitler was ever around. But because it had power, he tried to co-opt it for himself, and as a result, kind of ruined it for a lot of religions and traditions and cultures. Even though it's not inherently a bad symbol, it's just associated with a really bad guy. The same with a lot of a lot of pagan practices, especially some of the Nordic practices, because the Nordic traditions are often associated with the Viking types that were considered blonde and blue-eyed and such. And
Well, and also you have to consider that um, the whole idea of nationalism isn't something new. It's something that's always been observed, and the Vikings believed in a nationalism. However, they didn't. They just excluded people. They didn't, vilify them or kill them or whatever that may be. And that's part of, like, there was this there's this old order called the White Order of Thule, which needs to go into the history books and then forgotten. That'd be great. So they were nationalists. They were very racist. So, but that's not the way true Nordics or that's not the same thing.
Right. And the extremist viewpoints can be found throughout history and associated with pretty much every religion, socioeconomic background that you can possibly come up with. The Egyptians did it. The Israelites did it. The Canaanites did it. The Vikings just kidnapped everybody. The Romans just kind of absorbed everyone and mutated their own cultures, their own society with the different influences. Yes, Justin, I have I have a caller. Is Justin calling? Okay, cool. Hold on. So anyways, my point is that just because something's been co-opted does not mean that's the way it is for everybody. Don's kind of an Odinist. You're not very blonde.
I'm not very racist either.
That would be really weird considering your family. So, just don't let society paint all of the pagan traditions with the same broad paintbrush. We're as varied in individuals as we could possibly be. And don't buy into it. Don't buy into the mainstream media saying whatever they think is going on. So, because they're too busy pointing fingers to actually stop and listen. All right, so one moment. Area code 971, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, am I live?
Hi.
Hey. Are you getting me?
Yes, I am. This is Justin.
Just making sure there's quite a lag.
Sorry, we have North Idaho internet after a storm. It's been good.
Yeah. That's all right. I just wanted to call in and I want to tell you, I'm pretty much a layman to a lot of the pagan teachings and a lot of the, the history and everything. A lot of it was hidden and it's been covered up or whatever in the past. So I'm kind of new to all of it, but with everything that's going on right now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter what religion that you're in or what spirituality you're into. You feel a darkness, there's a heavy weight.
Yes.
That everyone is feeling. A lot of people that I'm talking to with a lot of similar idealisms, a lot of similar people are feeling this weight, this pressure. And you can't deny that it's all the same. It doesn't matter what religion or what faith you come from or what background. It's a feeling that everyone is getting right now.
Yes.
I think a lot of that is because a lot of religion and a lot of spirituality is actually taking a lot of flack about, how mainstream should be atheist, if not, agnostic, if not atheist, and how spirituality led us down this path, the Christian way led us down this path, and how we need to get away from, God and country and things like this. Now, I don't care about necessarily the God part, spirituality, if that's what you want to call it, or deities, or your patron, or things like that. So I think a lot of it's got to do with the fact that a lot of people are afraid to be spiritual or pagan or even Christian for that matter, because you're going to get vilified if you are, because of it being founded on the United States being founded on Christian ideals and spirituality. And I think that's been vilified. So I think that's why a lot of people are retreating into themselves and not sharing their spirituality as much as they have before. Now, that's not to say that they don't, but they don't feel as free. And, so they may not be in, as Paisley says, the pagan pantry or the witch's broom closet. But that's only with a very small amount of people. It's not necessarily loud and proud. And the ones who are loud and proud, from what I've observed, also fall into that trap of my way is the only way. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Well, what I've noticed is that it doesn't seem to matter what faith you're in right now. If you have faith at all, it's being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it's
yeah. And you're not the only one feeling that.
It's like a
Go ahead.
It's like a suppression of knowledge. It's like it's a large attack on history and knowledge. They want to dumb people down, it seems like, for some reason. And I don't know how to really attack that or counterattack that other than to get smarter,
Right.
And to try to uplift other people that that I'm familiar with that are in positions better than me, that can make things happen.
Right.
This is all
Weird.
I don't know. I think it's a big awakening of a lot of people right now. People are fucking waking up, and sorry for the French.
Beep. Yeah, that's something I've noticed.
A lot of people are really waking up, and people are starting to realize reality.
Yes. There has been a pretty big spiritual awakening, especially as 2021 or 2020 spiraled and wove its way into the past. And yeah, it's the number of people who came into the store where I work, which is it's a rock shop, but it's kind of esoteric too. The number of people who came in looking for ways to get in touch with their spirituality of self and find other ways to cleanse or ground or find that intangible thing is huge. And some of it is people who were Christian or looking for something else because Christianity doesn't seem to be fitting them anymore. And some of it is people just trying to find, they're trying to find that elusive thing, whatever it is. And so it's the spiritual awakening, I think, has been huge as we put 2020 to bed and 2021 is starting. I've been told on an astrology side that the first quarter of the year, January, February, March, is going to be very tumultuous, and energetically, it's going to be traumatic. Apparently, I'm not sure what that means, but we're going to feel it. And for those of us who have already kind of woken up and we're aware of the energetic changes, I think we're feeling it more. And because that pressure is getting heavier, more people are noticing it. I know a lot of folks right now are having some pretty intense, weird dreams. This is why your dream journals are important. Excuse me, because a lot of the things that will make sense down the road are going to be showing up in your dreams now. And once you start recognizing the signs, you're like, oh, hey, that's what that meant. Oh, hey, I'm going to be okay because we're going to be okay.
I have been journaling my dreams for like the last year, and it has been really strange. I'm projecting what is going to happen in my journaling. In my dreams, I projected, and sometimes it's only like a day or something, but sometimes it's a month in advance. I've actually written down what happened a month in advance.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strange for me because I've never been self-proclaimed, spiritual person or whatever. I've never claimed to be any kind of clairvoyant. I'm a normal dude.
You're not
I
into
really
the
don't. I've never had any sort of spiritual happenings in my life at all. My mother and stepfather were TV evangelists in Arkansas. They kind of still are. My stepdad just died 2 days ago, and God rest his soul. I don't wish any ill will on him, but we never got along. But that it's people are
feeling it. They're feeling the changes.
Yeah, it's beyond just rare happenstance, right? It's beyond just hijinks and the normal political temperature. All that. It's far deeper than that, and people are waking up to it. I think that, and I hate to mention names, but the recent president let everybody know what the hell was going on and pointed out a lot of things, and people have noticed that. Whether he was a good person or not, you can judge on your own. But we have all, and there's a big awakening going on right now. Everybody's starting to wake up and realize what the hell is going on around us.
Yeah, he definitely didn't pull any punches, even when he should have. And that is true. And
not the best man in the world either. I mean, I'm not going to give him any credit because, I thought it was ridiculous that Donald Trump won the president. But turns out.
Yeah. And so
he opened everybody's eyes.
Yeah. There was a lot of eye-opening stuff with his presidency. That is for sure. And, I think as this year's ticks on, we're going to see some new things. I think it's going to be a very interesting year. As I was on the show, Lucky's show last week, and ended the show saying, hang on to your butts. 2021 is going to be a ride. And, I think that is still 100% true. I'm not quite 100% sure as to what's going to happen. I just am trying to be as ready for what might happen as I possibly can. Because,
according to headlines, Bill and Hillary are getting divorced.
I don't understand how those two are still together anyways.
Bill is so happy right now. Bill is like, finally, holy crap. Maybe they'll put me to death and I won't have to listen to this bitch anymore.
Oh, my stars, you guys.
Holy crap, I forgot you were live. I'm sorry. I am super sorry.
That's all right, Justin.
That's okay, Justin. We heard the in the background. It's okay.
Hey,
unfiltered you. It's okay.
I get a break, dude. I'm from Arkansas. Those people screwed me over a long time ago.
Oh, my stars.
Oh,
no. So, yeah.
But yeah, I agree. There's a lot of awakening, but there's a lot of people awakening and not saying anything, not proclaiming, not, they're just being guarded because, as I said, I do believe there is that persecution for being spiritual or religious or whatever you want to label that as. There's a lot of, this camera is just, I don't know what the hell's wrong with it.
Your camera's drunk.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's a lot of what's going on. And I think people are, yes, as you said, awakening, but keeping it to themselves because they don't want to have to deal with the crap that's going on if you claim that you are or not, whatever, spiritual, religious, whatever. So.
And yeah, as people awaken.
Right. Well, I think it's situational too, because like I'm out here on the Pacific Northwest. I live in Rainier, Oregon, which is outside of all the bull that's going on. But in Portland, all down the I-5 corridor, everything out here on the west, everything is locked down. Businesses are not allowed to be open if they're restaurants or gyms or hair salons, whatever. Small businesses shut down. And all it is Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, big box stores. It's a huge shift of power and economy, and it's really super depressing. So we've been fighting hard. We've been protesting. We started at the ground level. We've been protesting at the houses of the OSHA members, like the Oregon Safety and Health Association, that comes out to actually give businesses fines and stuff. We go to their houses and protest, and their neighbors are all like, what the hell's going on? Like, your neighbor's a dick. But
yeah,
you gotta stand up to these people, man. You can't just sit it out. And a lot of the country doesn't see this because it's not happening. It's not happening where you guys are, I'm sure.
Well,
they haven't shut down all of your shit because your government is better. But Kate Brown and Ted Wheeler and all these horrible politicians in the Pacific Northwest it is very apparent in these states. We all know that they're evil.
Well, hey, but
and we're fighting.
We got like 2 minutes left, so.
Yeah, we're just about done, my dear. So yeah, take a deep cleansing breath in your warehouse
and play your singing bowls.
Yep. And yes, the grounding that is going to be important for the next couple months. And thank you, Justin, for calling in. And I need to email you again, by the way. So I'll send you the email, Kay, or call you. I'll text you. That's what I'll do.
Okay, you're about to go dead.
Yep.
No worries.
All right.
Thanks for letting me in.
See you, bud.
No worries. Thanks, Justin. So yeah, there is definitely an awakening happening. And you may feel some pressure. I know that I've had an increase in headaches. My ears have been ringing more, and my eyeballs feel heavy. It's quite bizarre. Whether or not you're having dreams or feeling the premonitions or the feeling, or you can tell we're on the cusp of whatever it is. Yep, take a deep cleansing breath. Make sure you got your sage and hold on to your butts. 2021 is going to be a ride. So tomorrow night will be a new adventure. And make sure you're evoking the right energies and invoking the right stuff. So we'll see you tomorrow night. Merry meet and merry part. And merry meet again. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night.
As we will, so mote it be, the spell forever does.